Hey folks, what's up? This is Michael. Guess who? It's Michael on the wee hours of the night on the graveyard shift with your daily trivia question. Once again, I had a night off. I think I had a night off. I think I was off the previous evening. I'm not sure. By this time of the week, it all just kind of runs together. And I usually just wake up and meander into work. That's honestly how it usually goes. So anyways, the answer to, happy Thursday. The answer to the previous trivia question was, of course, the power of the veto. Very important tool, very important technique used by the president for check and balance, for democracy. Very significant. So Article 1, Section 7 of the Constitution grants the president the authority to veto legislation passed by Congress. This authority is one of the most significant tools the president employs to prevent the passage of legislation if he gets a bill to his desk that has moved through Congress that he or she doesn't like. The Constitution provides that the president has 10 days to act on legislation, or the legislation automatically becomes law. Now, this, of course, excludes Sundays, because we don't do anything on Sundays, right? Just like Grandma used to. Grandma doesn't work on Sundays. So we have two types of vetoes, basically. The regular veto, the president just simply refuses to sign and returns the bill with an objection statement. This is why I'm refusing to sign. That's what's known as the regular veto. And he has to do that, of course, like I said, within 10 days. Then you have the pocket veto, which is a little more controversial. This occurs when the president receives a bill but is unable to reject it within 10 days because Congress is, quote unquote, I'm using air quotes right now, adjourned. Okay, so this is where it gets kind of political and ugly. People have debated what exactly does adjourned mean, and sometimes strategically the bill will be submitted to the president's office while they're getting ready to adjourn. Okay, so it's and another significant factor that makes it even more controversial and subject of debate is a pocket veto is not subject to override. All right, so getting back to good old George Washington, which was the focus of the trivia question, he used the presidential veto for the first time when a bill from Congress came to him that introduced a new plan for dividing seats in the House that would have increased the number of seats for northern states. Now, this was a prerequisite and resonated with what would be a long-standing debate. Increasing seats, drawing lines, etc. This you already had the inclination of this back in George Washington days, folks. So he vetoed this, concluding correctly that it would have introduced a number of representatives higher than that prescribed by the Constitution. Very significant, very strategic. He correctly identified something that was unconstitutional, that was submitted from Congress, and he renewed it. He vetoed it, I'm sorry. So a couple of cool geek factoids about the veto. And this is just interesting stuff to research, this technique. Even the threat of a veto can bring about changes in the content of legislation long before the bill is ever presented to the president. So if the president even gets the inclination, if you will, as a bill is traveling through both houses of Congress as it does, that he's not going to like it, he or she isn't going to like it, he can put that out on the wire. And oftentimes Congress will begin the revision process at that time to prevent further controversy or a possible probable veto down the road. Now, Washington used the veto only twice during his presidency. And it wasn't until a very long time in the future, until 1845, that President Tyler would get his veto overridden for the very first time. That's where he sends it back, and the Congress, by a majority, overrides the veto, which also can be done. President Roosevelt has the record for vetoes. You think it might be somebody a little more current, but President Roosevelt used the veto a whopping 372 times. That's like getting up every day and just, deciding that you're going to veto something. Literally, more than every day within the year. So also a cool geek factoid is the U.S. Used to have what was known as a line item veto, which was pretty cool. You could get in there with certain aspects of of the bill that was submitted to the president's desk, and you could go in there by line item and veto, different parts of it. This didn't last long. I think President Clinton, if my research serves me correctly, was the only president to use the line item veto. And then, of course, on an eventual basis, they decided, maybe we don't like that after all. And they did away with that. So that is the power of the veto. Pretty cool stuff. All right, folks, let's get this Thursday started with a brand new trivia question. Check this out. This is pretty cool. For April 7th, on this day in 1954, in an attempt to justify increased United States military assistance to South Vietnam, by predicting that if one country in a region came under the influence of communism, then the surrounding countries would follow, President Eisenhower coins this famous Cold War phrase. Good luck, folks. Have a good Thursday. Peace out.